157 రోజులు ఇక్కడ రాష్ట్రంలో ఇక్కడ జైల్లో మగ్గుతున్నదంటే దాని విషయంలో కనీసం మానవ మాతృలు ఎవరికైనా కొంత సానుభూతి ఉంటుంది. కానీ వాళ్ళ మనుషుల్లాగా కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీకి సంబంధించినటువంటి భారతీయ జనతా పార్టీకి సంబంధించిన నాయకులు కొంతమంది ప్రవర్తిస్తలేరు. కనీస మానవ ధర్మాన్ని కూడా పాటించకుండా మానవత్వాన్ని మర్చిపోయి ఇలాంటి సందర్భంలో కూడా రాజకీయ ప్రేరి
ಕಟ್ ಕಾಳಜಿ ವಹಿಸಿ ಆಫ್ ಯೋರ್ ಗಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಯ ಖಜಾನೆ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಗಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಹೆಲ್ದಿ ಗಟ್ ದಿನ ಕುಡಿ ಯಾಕುಲ್ಟ್ ಗಟ್.
ಯಾಕುಲ್ಟ್ 650 ಕ್ರೋರ್ ಪ್ರೋಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಶಿರೋಟಾ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಇಂದ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ತೊಲಗಿಸುತ್ತೆ, ಗುಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಬೆಟರ್ ಡೈಜೆಷನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಪಡೆಯಿರಿ.
ದಿನ ಕುಡಿರಿ ಯಾಕುಲ್ಟ್ ಗಟ್.
ಯಾಕುಲ್ಟ್ ಹೊಸ ಫ್ರೂಟಿ ಟೇಸ್ಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾಕುಲ್ಟ್ ಲೈಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಫ್ಲೇವರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ.
Are you in search of your dream plots? Explore Blue Jay Signature, the largest BD-approved villa plots in Bangalore West, located near Nagsandra Metro Station off Tumkur Road. With a price tag of rupees 1.2 crore, all inclusive. Leave the luxury with 36 plus premium amenities. Indulge in endless possibilities with Yeshwantpur Railway Station, Nagsandra Metro Station, Orion Mall, and World Trade Center. Book now, own the bliss of signature living. Leave true happiness, leave signature. Call us for more details at 8880666767.
All right, we have more news coming in at this point in time. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President have held key talks. The Prime Minister has just tweeted talking about it. Spoke with President Putin today, discussed measures to further strengthen special and privileged strategic partnership, exchange perspectives on Russia-Ukraine conflict, and my insights from the recent visit to Ukraine. Reiterated India's firm commitment to support an early, abiding and peaceful resolution of this conflict, says the Prime Minister in his tweet. I'm going to go straight across to Gaurav. More details on that story. Gaurav, all eyes, in fact, on these conversations and this meeting, essentially this particular conversation that the Prime Minister has had with the Russian President in the context of how difficult this has also really become for New Delhi, given that this indeed is a very tightrope walk when it comes to diplomacy, isn't it?
It's a very major role that India appears to be playing at this point. What has the Prime Minister said? He said, exchange perspectives on the Russia-Ukraine conflict and my insights from the recent visit to Ukraine. Reiterated India's firm commitment to support an early, abiding and peaceful resolution of the conflict. Now, do keep a couple of things in mind. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Russia on the 8th of July. He had a very long meeting with President Putin, a meeting where there was only Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President Putin and the interpreters, and they exchanged some ideas there. Those ideas the Prime Minister then carried to Ukraine, met President Zelensky. A conversation that was supposed to last about half an hour lasted close to 3 hours. So it overshot its time. There was then very little time for delegation level talks because the two heads of state and government spent about 2.5, close to 3 hours talking about their perspectives on conflict resolution. Then just late yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a call from US President Joe Biden. Again, a long conversation that discussed Ukraine and the perspective that the Prime Minister had. So remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is perhaps the only leader in the world with a very unique perspective of engaging both with the Russian leadership, trusted by the Russian leadership, the Ukrainian leadership, trusted by the Ukrainian leadership, and the American leadership. He's engaged with all three, and they're looking forward to a forward movement. What that forward movement is, what the resolution would be, still remains work in progress. But this just shows India playing a much, much bigger role on the world stage in a situation where the Prime Minister is meeting with President Putin, President Zelensky, and the US President. The conversation with Ford, it's a win-win for all stakeholders and forward movement perhaps in this conflict that has entered a very dangerous phase, Sneha.
Right, Gaurav. Also, this is important. This meeting is important from the point of view of the recent statements that has been made by Prime Minister Modi in his visit to Ukraine, wherein he said that it's not that we are neutral, we have taken a side, and that side is that of peace. It's a significant statement that he made a few days ago.
India's had a consistent policy, Sneha. You'd notice whether when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Moscow or in Ukraine, or India's consistent policy since the time of the outbreak of this conflict in February 2022. India's maintained one line that you cannot find a solution in the battlefield. Whatever is the conflict, a solution has to be found on the diplomatic table through conversation. So dialogue and diplomacy in a peaceful environment is the way forward in any conflict. Incidentally, this is India's consistent stand in every conflict situation, whether it's tension between India and China at the line of actual control, or the situation that India now appears to be playing a key role in. Remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has had multiple engagements, even with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of G7, whether it was in Japan, in Formosa, or in Italy, or before that in the United Kingdom. He's had and plus a number of phone calls. So he knows President Zelensky's mind. He knows President Putin's mind. And India is in a unique position. Look, America is on one side. America is not trusted by Russia.
Yes.
Other countries in Europe are also on one side. China's in the Russian camp. India is the only country that's not in any camp, is detached and is looking at the situation and is trusted by all camps. So what India says perhaps may just carry weight in the times ahead.
All right, interesting that you tell us that. Of course, India, one country that is in conversation with both sides, and that's what the Western media has also taken note of and spoken about, a delicate balancing act that the Prime Minister here seems to be doing. Every day there's a lot of sound. I can sing and I can scream, I can stream.
Stream when I play. And to play it well, sometimes you gotta play it long. Really long.
What you're gonna say, I know what.
So next week we will have a star gamer on a podcast, and what's even cooler is that I get to record it in
Unidirectional mode.
What?
Omnidirectional. And even stereo. Sounds good.
And it's a wrap
To my first music video.
But it's
AI, what are some dishes you should try in Korea?
Recommended food to eat in Korea are Korean barbecue, fried chicken, kimchi, kimbap, kukbap.
에이, 이걸로는 부족하지. 진짜 한국에선 어떻게 먹는지 알려줄까? K-바비큐? 신김치랑 먹어야지. 치킨? 클래식한 치킨부터 한강뷰 치킨까지. 치맥 페스티벌은 처음이지? 김치? 종류만큼 먹는 법도 가지각색. 김밥? 시장에선 이렇게, 산에선 이렇게, 바다에선 이렇게. 국밥? 취향 따라, 입맛 따라. 마무리까지 완벽하게. 이런 한국, 와보지 않고는 모를걸?
Virtually the entire day today, viewer, the Trinamool government in West Bengal has been cracking down on protests on the streets of Kolkata and the surrounding areas, pointing a finger at the protesters and saying, BJP, BJP, politically motivated, BJP, BJP. This is the same party that has literally grown on the back of Jan Andolans and protests. This is the same party led by Mamata Banerjee that has grown all its strength
from rage expressed on the streets. This is the party that drew all its energy and its identity from anger expressed by protesters on the political roads of this country. And yet the Trinamool today, after spending 2 weeks more in damage control rather than admitting to a cover-up in the Kolkata rape and murder case, too busy getting the Kolkata police to send out legal notices to all and sundry, today is caught in a truly ironic situation where it seems to be painted into a corner, defensively pointing at protesters on the streets and saying, this is politically motivated. These are BJP Vidyarthi Parishad members. There is nothing organic about this uprising. After completely negating the public anger expressed by doctors and the young people of Kolkata against what happened in the RG Kar Medical College and Hospital over 2 weeks ago, the Trinamool Congress appears to be hell-bent once again on negating its own identity as a party that was built on the strength of protests. As you watch these images of the Trinamool government cracking down on protesters labeled by the party as BJP, the question that comes to mind is, even if they were political protests, what is wrong with that? Doesn't the Trinamool know a thing about political protests? Doesn't the Trinamool know a thing or two about the power of political involvement in protests? Take a look. I'll give you a small list of how the Trinamool has very effectively used protests to make a political point to register its protests. So even as the Trinamool government under Mamata Banerjee now points a finger at all these protesters and dismisses them as political rivals, politically motivated, BJP, left, etc., just take a look at this list. In 2006, the anti-land acquisition movement in Shingur was a big protest by the Trinamool. In 2007, the famous Nandigram movement was a street protest by the Trinamool. In 2012, protests against the railway fare hike saw hundreds of Trinamool members on the streets. In 2014, Trinamool leaders came out in large numbers to protest against the arrest of party members in the Sarada scam. In 2014, Trinamool members came out in large numbers to protest against coal block allocation policy. In 2016, the Trinamool came out in large numbers to protest against demonetization. In 2016, the Trinamool came out in large numbers on the streets to protest against army deployment at toll plazas. In 2017, the Trinamool came out in large numbers in the street to protest against GST implementation. In 2017, the Trinamool came out in large numbers to protest against farm loan waivers.